Now, the leaders of a global wildlife trafficking gang have been convicted after a 4-year investigation at a trial in Nigeria. They've pleaded guilty to smuggling the scales of African pangolins, which conservationists say are being hunted to extinction. Described as top of the pyramid of traffickers, they were responsible for half of the illegal trade in pangolin scales. Well, Steve Swan talks to one of the people who went undercover to bring down the network. This is his exclusive report.
An African wildlife trafficker with something to sell. On a video call, he shows sacks full of pangolin scales. He doesn't realise it, but the woman he's calling isn't a buyer. She's an undercover investigator. Within days, this compound in Nigeria is raided.
It's the third largest seizure of pangolin scales by the Nigeria customs authorities in the past 3 years.
Tons of pangolin scales and elephant ivory were seized. Now the leaders of a major global trafficking gang have been convicted of wildlife crime. Outwitted by fake buyers and sting operations. A 4-year global investigation run by a small charity in the Netherlands. We meet the young woman who went undercover to help bring the network down. Van, not her real name, doesn't want to be identified.
I mean, you met these people physically. Were you afraid?
I was nervous for about 20 seconds. But then, after that, I thought, I can do this. I love animals and wildlife is my passion. The animals mean nothing to them.
Pangolins are the most trafficked mammal in the world. Here, a South African police raid finds one, but it doesn't survive. It's estimated 1 million pangolins have been killed by traffickers in the last decade. Their meat's eaten in Africa, their scales used in traditional medicine in China. Investigators were given a rare opportunity to disrupt the illegal wildlife trade during the coronavirus pandemic.
That's because shipments slowed down in the lockdown, and West African traffickers who'd usually stay hidden turned to social media to look for clients, and that made them and their customers vulnerable. Here you can see them offering elephant ivory for sale, and those are pangolin scales.
I'm just having a look at the names that she's pulled off as potential targets.
A massive intelligence operation helped identify buyers based in Vietnam. They were put under surveillance and followed to Africa when they travelled to buy more pangolin scales. In these video calls, the traffickers incriminate themselves. An undercover officer whose voice is disguised pretends to be a buyer and asks,
"You buy something else in Nigeria?"
Nigeria is only pangolin.
You going to ship to Vietnam, the 20 tons?
Yes.
Soon after this video was recorded, the men were arrested. Now they've pleaded guilty to smuggling and trading in pangolin scales and elephant ivory.
I can't underestimate the value of this trial, not only to Nigeria, but to Vietnam, to South Africa, to Mozambique, and to wildlife in Africa. These guys are, at the top of the pyramid.
Finally, after years of feeling untouchable because of corruption and lack of police resources, the wildlife traffickers are under pressure. Although the leader of this West African network is still at large. Steve Swan, BBC News.